and chant Om 3 times with the exhaled breath together. Breathing in, bring your Guru to your eyebrow center, and then slowly bring him down from the eyebrow center to your heart. And keeping the Guru in your heart, we'll chant Omkar 3 times. Breathe in. Om. 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 Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. So, we are back again together. And this is 4 days before Shivaratri. So, we had thought that we'll sit and discuss a little about Shiva and Shakti and what they are actually. Now, first of all, before we go to the Guru, to Shiva itself, let us go to the Guru. Because what a Guru is and who the Guru is has been spoken by Shiva himself to his first disciple, Shakti. So, Shiva says, she asks him, Shakti or Parvati, she says, what is all this that people are talking about? Who is the Paramatma? How does one understand this great energy? Who is responsible for the universe being created? Who is responsible for maintaining it? Who is responsible for dissolving it back? And tell us, she says, tell me for the sake of the world. The world, mind you, when she says this, the world has not yet come into being. The world is within her. So all this she's talking for the benefit of the creations that are yet to come. So she asks him, he says, there is no Brahma other than the Guru, Brahman, the Supreme. So she's surprised. So she says, what do you mean? She says, tell me more about this. So he said, you have to be a disciple before you can understand what is a Guru. So she asks him, tell me what is a disciple. Then I'll be a disciple and you can teach me. So then he says that the disciple is one. I have said this before, but I'm going to reiterate it again just so we are all very clear about what the Guru is or what the Shishya is, because that will be our foundation for any learning at any time. And we should never forget that. So he says, the disciple is one who is in anguish at separation from the Lord. The Lord means your source, Parabrahman. We look at a lot of material benefits in life. We think if we get good health, that should be enough, we'll be happy. Or we think if we have wealth or power or people that we know, relatives, if we have anything that we can see in the world, or just a comfortable place or food to handle our hunger, Different people have different ideas. And we think if that goes, then we'll be cut out. Now, what will we do? We are extinct. So he says the disciple is one who has gone through all this and realized that this is not what is really giving me happiness. This is not what I'm looking for. Because I've looked for all this, I found a lot of this, and it hasn't made me exponentially happy or at peace. So he says, when you realize that you are becoming a disciple, that there is something more, and that something more that you know definitely is going to give you peace and happiness, and you feel that you haven't achieved that point and you're looking for understanding, and experiencing that something which is in everything, that something, when you're at anguish, then you become a disciple, because then you don't search for other things. You search for the one thing that will show you what keeps pain away. So who is the guru? That's the other thing. So he says, Durlabham Trishu Lokeshu. This knowledge is difficult to obtain in the three worlds to find out who's the guru. Because, we always go around when we want to be disciples, who's my guru? Is this one okay? Is that one okay? Why is this one doing? We are trying to assess them according to our regional and our local understanding of what their guru is. So she's asking this straight, and he is saying this knowledge is difficult to obtain in the three worlds. And he says, Guru Bina Brahma na Anyat Satyam Satyam Varanane. That is, Brahma is nothing, Brahman, that is the supreme, is nothing other than the Guru. So whoever your Guru is, it is this Parabrahman speaking through that particular purified body to you and reaching out to you as if he is your intimate friend. So, and then he says, this is the truth, this is the truth. When in the Shastras you hear somebody saying, Satyam, Satyam, Varanane, I'm saying it, this is the truth, this is the truth. When they say it twice, it means it is absolutely the truth. Don't even bother to think about or be logical, accept it. And then he says, Tvat kripartam vadamite, Tvat prityartam vadamyaham. Out of my compassion for you, out of my love for you, I'm telling you what is the Guru, because you won't find by searching. So who is the compassionate one here? This is what we have to understand. He says, out of my compassion for you, I'm telling you. And before that, he has said also that the Guru is none other than Brahman. So the understanding here is that the one who loves you, the one who has compassion for you, is it the Guru? Now we always say, my Guru, my Guru. So he says, no, it is God. And how does God act, send you that compassion? Through the conduit of your Guru. And the Guru is somebody has a certain consciousness which has merged with the Parabrahma. That is why we say Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma. That's what we are saying. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I am bowing to you, you who are Guru Sakshat Parabrahma. You are the Parabrahman. I'm going to the highest from here. It's like when you go to you want some little problem, and then you want to go on Twitter or something like that, and you approach the PMO. The PMO's office will see that it goes to the Prime Minister, and he might take action or no action. But here, the divine will take action. You go through various conduits to him. And why is it so difficult to go to him? And why do some people say it's so easy to go to him? when you're not prepared to see him, like you're walking in front of Vidhan Sauda, you don't know it's a parliament, but you're so full of your mind with some movie you have seen earlier, like Bahubali or something, and you're walking there and then you look at it, wow, someone else's palace, you would say. Or you just come back from Jaipur where they have uh, hotels which are like um, palaces, sometimes old palaces made into uh, hotels, and then you'll say, wow, someone's got a huge big hotel here. That's how you would see Vidhan Sauda, though it is next to you. You don't understand it's the parliament, it's your voice that is spoken there. So in the same way, we look at the form of our guru and we think that form is what is um, giving us the message. But here Shiva is saying it is the Parabrahman who is giving the message through this guru, because this guru has this person or this Atma, put it that way, this Atma has merged with the Parabrahman. Therefore, it becomes a direct communication center. So, God is called Avyaja Karunamurti. Why Avyaja Karunamurti? That is extraordinary Karuna, extraordinary compassion. Why? Because he takes the form of whoever, whichever form you want to see him in. So if your guru, that form is pleasing to you and you say, this is God to me, guru is God. Sometimes people say, what it means is that this Parabrahman, the divine, has entered this particular form of your guru so that you can make a direct bond link with him. So whichever form you relate to, when Prahlada wanted a form in which he was thinking of a lion, the divine came with a lion head and a human body. Vishnu once went to do tapas to Parabrahman, and the divine showed himself as Ardhanarishwara. So this was the form he meditated on to get a child one time. Because I'll be telling a little story here, there, so that you get the essence. I'm not giving you a lecture like in an academic lecture. So when Vishnu saw this form, Shiva said, now you worship this form. And that was the form of Ardhanarishwara, that is Shiva Shakti together. And it was Rudra and Shakti, the energy of the Rudra. And when that child was born, um, this child was Krishna's son through Jambavati, Jambavan's son. And he often did what people thought were um, not very sensible actions. For example, he and his friends went to a group of rishis once, wanting to play a prank, and then he hid a, they call this in the old days pounding thing, pounding stick. In the old days, before mixies came, they would use it to pound rice, a big log sort of thing. So they hid that in his stomach, dressed him up as a girl, and put clothes above it and said to the rishis, please tell us whether this woman will have a boy or a girl born. The rishi saw through it. So he said, he will give birth to a pounding stick like this, mortar, pestle, that sort of thing, but a pestle which is big. And that would destroy your whole race. And it did happen that at one time, certain grasses grew around the ocean. There were sharp grasses. And when the Yadavas, that is the race in which Krishna took his birth, when they had a fight among themselves and they didn't have weapons because they were all in a party sort of mood, they plucked out these grasses and hit each other with it and killed each other. And when Krishna's brother Balarama came to know of this, he took the leftover grasses and he put it into the sea. In that there was an iron sharp bit. And one time a fisherman, a hunter, they came there and they retrieved this iron sharp aspect, and the hunter put it on his arrow, and he went round hunting in the forest. He saw a beautiful deer sitting. He shot, and when he heard the cry, he ran to see what he had done and realized he had shot the body of Krishna. Now you would think what a tragedy, what happened. But that was the way it was ordained for a specific purpose, because the Yadavas who had come to help Krishna in establishing Dharma were gods. They didn't come forever to stay as mortals. They came for a specific time. They were very, very powerful. Nobody could defeat them. And Krishna knew that if these people were allowed to survive for long, they would also degenerate. They would also corrupt the land with negative impulses. So, because they would be so powerful, nobody could defeat them. So, what he did was he also ordained that this is the way it should happen. And the Yadavas should be wiped out. Nobody can kill them. You see, they're very strong. They wipe each other out. And also, the privilege of shooting him was given to the hunter who was Vali in his previous birth, whom Rama had killed in a search for Sita. He gives him a boon that um, whatever action is taken, the opposite will always come back. This is karma. So he accepted this karma, so people would understand that our actions have long um, consequences, long time. So you have to be careful about what you're doing and what you're not doing. So, okay. So here, this is I told you briefly about what is a guru and what is a disciple. And here we are told that the one way to realize the divine, your own source, that is your own DNA, your own material of which you're made up, your soul, you understand when you have to go beyond all this, you have to understand what is Kala and Prana. Kala is time, and we'll come into it over the next 4 days. Time goes on and on and on. There is no stopping. No matter what you do, you cannot get back 4:30 of today's. It just keeps moving and moving and moving. So, and what does it do? It makes your body grow and grow. From the time you're a baby, like a plant, when it's a seed, the plant grows into a young plant, then it becomes a tree. And after the warranty period is over, the tree falls and dies. But the seed goes on and on and on. The same way with the human being also. Time creates a situation and time carries prana. Prana carries your actions, karma. So the more prana you have, the more of your actions come up, the consequence, the karma comes up. If it is good, you will meet a lot of good people along your way. If it is unpleasant, then you'll have a lot of difficulties coming your way. We have to always remember we take um, responsibility for the difficulties and for the good that come to us by way of our actions. Now, who makes you do these actions? To a large extent, it is the Shakti or the energy of Shiva. And here in the Shiva Purana, we are talking about Shiva as being the Parabrahman. When you go to the Vaishnava Tantras and you have Vishnu as the head, Vishnu will be the Parabrahman. When you have Devi as the in the Shakta Tantra, Devi will be the Parabrahman, because Parabrahman has no gender. Just like your Atma has no gender. Your body, the body that the Panchamahabhutas give you to live this life and finish your actions so that you can go back with gratitude to your source. That body is male or female or transgender. But you actually have no gender, because Parabrahman is neither male nor female, nor can it be put in any category. So sometimes people call it as it, idam, this one. So, how to go above time and prana? As long as you have prana, the physical body will remain. But one, if you can, the first thing they say is bhakti and surrender prapatti. If your mind is pure, and here when they say purity, they are not talking of ethical or moral uh, pureness as we see, because in one society something is pure, in another society it has no relevance at all. So it's not relative. When they are talking about purity, they are talking of a state where the mind is not conditioned by any place that the body has been in earlier. Many lifetimes you can pick up many impressions, and these impressions will um, contaminate your mind. Like I told you, if you're going in front of Vidhan Sauda and you're only happy about having seen a movie like Bahubali, you have Vidhan Sauda standing there, but you'll think it's another palace. This is a contamination because it's not what it really is. So when you see something real and you react to it as if it's something else, that reaction is a vasana, which is an impression that has been stored in you lifetime after lifetime, and which is stimulated by this particular event, like walking in front of Vidhan Sauda. Now, what happens when you do that, when you're walking in front of Vidhan Sauda? I'm only giving you an example, you can walk anywhere. You have chosen that road and to go in front of Vidhan Sauda so that you can bring up the stimulus. Then, with your buddhi or discrimination, you can immediately tell yourself, hey, it may not be a palace. Let me go and see what it is. Go in and find out. This discrimination, which comes in the buddhi, is your choice, or mechanical acceptance of something and just carrying on is also your choice. It is the compassion of the divine in the form of the Shakti that decides that at this moment you will walk in front of the Vidhan Sauda, which stimulates a particular vasana, and you have the chance now to rectify that impression. When you rectify that impression, then you are creating a mindset that is moving from manas into buddhi. You are evolving. So, to give you that chance to evolve, you might have many difficulties thrown your way. And if you don't learn from one difficulty, you learn from another. So, then if you go on getting difficulties, it can be either that you haven't learned, or that you're a person of immense spiritual merit and you're trying to finish all karmas together. So, when you have an unconditional love for the Paramatma, for the divine, for Brahman, in whichever form you want. It could be Vishnu, it could be Krishna, it could be Jesus, it could be the tree outside your house, it could be a mountain, it could be the Kaaba. It doesn't matter what the form, because our finite mind cannot understand that something can be formless. We need a form to relate to. And when we have a form that we have an unconditional love for example, if you have your child in the house, when the child is a baby, say about 2 years old or something, that baby comes and hits you and says, Mama, I hate you. You're not going to react and say, how dare you say that? Because you know it's an expression of love. And because you love that child, you don't take it amiss. How do you love your child? You have to understand love. Love is the reaction that comes when at that mind, at that moment, you do not see a threat from that child. When you don't see a threat in something or somebody, your ego is not awakened. The ego is awakened when you see a threat outside. And you, if the same child grows up when he is 18 and tells you, I hate you, then you will get upset, or you'll be worried, or you'll be grief stricken, or you might also get angry and fight back. All that happens because your ego is up also. Your identity as a parent comes in. There, when when you're dealing with the baby, the baby has no identity. It doesn't think at that time, I'm a baby and I'm going to grow up, and then it's just a seed. It hasn't germinated yet. So you surrender to that child because you have unconditional love for the child. You are not judging the child. You are not analyzing the child. When you don't judge and when you don't analyze and you surrender to the child outside, or the child in every person you see, and the child in every form that you see. The tree doesn't try to hurt you. If a nut drops and it drops on your head, it was not trying to hurt you. It just so happened you walked below it. You're not going to cut the tree in anger. So when you look at all this, you see him, the Parabrahman, in everything around you. It is the divine who has become the tree, the plant, the mud, the soil, the sky, the air, the water you drink, your friends, the people you think your enemies, um, what you call aliens, strangers, everything is his own manifestation. So they say when that happens, you call it a Vishwarupa Darshan. You see the divine in everything. And so it helps when you love somebody very deeply. And if that person is a person of integrity and satyam, that person will not let you down like a guru. Then when you have a difficulty, you'll say, it is the guru giving me a difficulty. Maybe it's something for me to learn. You won't react badly. That is where we say, Naham Karta, Guru Karta hi Kevalam. Not only for negative things, for positive things also. When something nice comes, somebody congratulates you. If you go to the old timers, they would go to a doctor and say, you have really God who has saved me. And the doctor would say, it's he who has saved you. And the patient would understand also. But he said, this is only a way of communicating because I see that divinity in you. But for that divinity in you, you could not have saved me. So already you see the divine in somebody else. Then when that happens, you go beyond time. When you start seeing the divine in everything around you, you are slowly moving beyond time. You are on the journey of um, being able to control time within you. Then you get moksha. Moksha means you move beyond time and the limited prana, you move into the divine, or the divine moves into you, and your prana becomes limitless. So, this is what you have to think about, because bhakti, or the that unconditional love that you have for one person, it helps you to move from the finite to the infinite. How is that? Because when supposing you just love buying a silk sari, you like a particular color, you're so obsessed with it that you'll go buying many saris of that same color, better and better. Then say, hey, something new has come in the market. Let me go buy it. So what are you doing? You're expanding your mind into many saris. But you're not looking at the saris and thinking, why am I attracted to this sari? Then supposing some months pass, years pass, and then you got over your fascination with the sari because you're saturated. Then you start looking at an electronic gadget, and you have the same um, thrill with that electronic gadget, and you want to get more and more. You're searching for what is a better one, better one, better one, and wherever you see an electronic gadget, you get the best that you want. The same expansion of the mind you had with the sari is now brought into this, but the form is changed. Instead of the sari, it is the electronic machine. Instead of the electronic machine, it can be a car. Instead of the car, it can be a method of studying. You can have Shastra Vasana also, just reading and reading and reading and feeling comfortable with it. When you know a lot, then you will turn around and say this, but this wasn't it. Why am I getting so hassled about the form? What is it? Then you go back to what feeling did I have when I went to the sari, when I went to the books, when I went to the um, electronic, whatever it is, gadget. And this form is something this form is changing, but my emotion or my feeling is not. It's the same infatuation sort of that I've got, the attraction that it has for me. What is this attraction? So then you'll find that this attraction comes from your mind, which is trying to expand and expand and expand, tanoti. And like you have left the sari and you have left the gadget and you have left the books, and then you're looking for something which is in everything. You know, that feeling that you have, it is not the object itself. Then you're liberated from these things that you are attracted to, and you move into the larger dimension of an unlimited mind. So this is called Tanoti and Trayati or Tantra. Tantra, and that is why in Tantra the Guru is given a very, very important place, because the Guru gives you an opportunity to purify and transform your love. When you are in touch with something higher, love flows into you. You don't say, I love so and so, because when we say we love so and so, oh, he looks so handsome, or he speaks so nicely to me, all these, you just look at yourself inside and you will know it is not that. It is something else in the other person that is drawing you. And that is what we mean when you say Harihi Om. Hari means can be the divine, it can be the divine. Why? Because the word Ha, so Ha is the Bija mantra of the divine. That is why you have words like Abraham, Ibrahim, the man with the Ha, Yeshu, the man with the helper of God, Ha, Al Nirak, Alak Niranjan, Al Hak Niranjan, the tantric cry. Wherever you find Ha, that word is the Mula mantra of the divine. Om Namaha. Ha. So when you go into this and then you realize that there is something much greater than what you thought this world was all about. Hari. Hari is that force. Ra is the mantra of the Bija mantra of fire. What fire? Not just the fire you see outside when you do havan, not the fire in the kitchen. It is the fire inside you. It is the fire of the divine, which is made up of the divine sankalpa. He says, this will happen. He has already made the sankalpa that you are going to reach him. But you are caught up with the time and prana, kala and prana. When you give up the kala and prana, then you are moving. You don't have any difficulty to reach him, and you're reaching him. So then the love in him flows towards you, because your mind is expanded. When the mind expands, becomes limitless, it is able to receive love from the divine, which is not limited. It's a limitless thing. So you can't even say at that point, I love so and so. You just feel an energy called love flowing through you. So Narada will say, Parama Prema Swarupam Bhaktihi. It is the supreme love form, the form of the supreme love, that is called Bhakti. Okay, so when there is Parama Prema, you have that much love, then goodness fills you and surrounds you. You attract good people, like rishis of gurus, of other gurus also, authentic ones, or of people like the Shankaracharyas, or some just good people in any household. people you know, people who have good intention for the universe, those sort of people get attracted to you because of the goodness that is flowing from you. And when they are with you, these gurus, that is how you got your guru also. When your guru is with you, Satyam is there, the truth. The mm, truth is what is called God, that which was, which is, and which will always be. It is eternal and infinite. So once you have the eternal near you, to whom you just have to open your heart, you don't have any fear, because that something will elevate you. Even your sadhana becomes upasana. Sitting near, he holds your hand and walks with you. So, who is this being that we are talking about? This is what is called the Guru Tattvam, and this is what is called Shiva. So, coming to the Shivatvam itself, what is Shiva? It is the consciousness that is in everything in creation. That is what is called Shiva. Everything in creation has this um, energy, and everything is has created you, manifested in you, and is taking you back to himself after you have a swirl in the world of birth and death. So um, here you're coming to what is Shiva, and Shiva is the ultimate consciousness in everything else. So that Shivatvam is in your Guru. Now, when I'm saying all this, don't jump to the conclusion also, then what is Vishnu, what is Brahma? No, it is that Parama Shiva, or it is that Parabrahman that comes in every form as Shiva when he takes the dissolving back, as Vishnu when he is holding the creation, maintaining it, and as Brahma when the creative force happens. It's like the mother goes into the kitchen, she gets the Brahma force, she is cutting vegetables, getting ready to cook. Then when she's cooking on the stove, she's standing nearby and watching it doesn't get burnt. This is a Vishnu form. Doesn't get burnt, and it is remaining good and well. And then when all that is over, she takes it out and she feeds you or she eats it, and the dissolving, the vegetable goes back into your stomach and comes out. So it is not different women. It's not one woman cooking, one woman maintaining, one woman taking it out. This is what is called the Brahmatvam, Vishnutvam, Shivatvam. So when you realize the Guru and the power of the Guru, that is your only bridge between you and the divine. So when you decide you're a Sishya, a disciple, what is the real Sishya Paripalana? How do you act as a Sishya? So when you sit down to pray every day, when you sit down to do your worship as a Sishya, don't say, God, give me the ticket so that I can go to Switzerland and come back. God, somehow help me to my child to come first in class. No, what you pray for is, see that my Guru's Upasana is not given any hurdle. That's what you say. Yes, the real gratitude to the Guru is to say, don't bother about me to God. Don't bother about me. Take care of my Guru. Wherever he is, if he is in the body, if he is not in the body, whatever it is, take care of my Guru. And the Guru will show you the entire creation, sustenance, um, dissolving, everything, because um, the divine is in the Guru's heart, which has opened out completely. And when I do different religions that we are doing in prayer, that we are going to do on Sundays, then I'll show you how they are talking of the same thing in every mystical tradition. So even if a single disciple thinks, when I surrendered, I had seen the Paramatma within you. I felt the divine was there within you. Even if a single disciple thinks that, then the divine will do the same thing for every person around. But that is his dharma to the disciple. So, having said that, I thought I would give you a few stories, one or two stories, because we are short of time also. And we don't want to go off into a long passion that goes on forever and ever. So, just one little thing before I go on. Time is 5:14. Okay. I thought I would tell you about Varanasi, but maybe I'll go into something else and come back tomorrow for Varanasi. There was at one time a rishi called Gautama. Now, who was Gautama? Gautama was a husband of Ahalya. You all know how Ahalya was blessed by Sri Rama. And their son, Sadananda, was the priest for Janaka at a time when Rama's marriage happened with Sita. So they were all people who were very noble um, in their sadhana, very well intentioned, not asking anything for themselves, but for the universe in general. So it is said that Gautama did a penance of 10,000 years. When you say 10,000 years, it need not mean with the same body, or it can mean with the same body, because that body is different. Because when a person does that sort of a penance, he has come in line, aligned himself with the Pancha Mahabhutas. He has gone beyond time and beyond prana. He has unlimited prana, of which Jesus says, a man does not live by bread alone. He lives from every word that comes out of God's mouth. What's the word? It's a vibration, the Omkar. So he did a great penance. And then when it was all over, there was a terrible drought. And that drought lasted for 100 years. People were in great distress. There wasn't even one small little sprout anywhere that they could take and squeeze. So when this happened, where could they get water from? So what happened is the sages and the men and the beasts and the birds and all um, migrated. They went to different places. On seeing this drought happening, the priests and the sages of that time continued doing pranayama and meditation, praying for the compassion of the divine. And Gautama himself did penance to Varuna, the god of the waters. And Varuna came to give him a boon. And he said, say, what do you want? And I'll give it to you. Then he asked him for rain. He said, please bring rain to this land. So Varuna said, how, when gods have created the drought, how can I countermand it? Ask for something else, he says. Then Gautama said to him, if you're happy, you said you'll give me a boon. If you're not happy, don't bother about it. But if you give me a boon, give it to me according to my desire. So he says, since you are the Lord of waters, you can give me this everlasting water. So then Varuna said, okay, then dig a ditch here. So when that was said, a ditch was dug by uh, Gautama, and it was filled with divine water by Varuna. Then Varuna spoke to Gautama and he said, there will be perennially water in this ditch that has become sacred because of your penance. So this ditch with water will become famous by your name, Gautami. So, and he said, whatever penance is done here, whatever shraddha is done for the people who have gone before, everything will be imperishable. So saying this, Varuna vanished. Then Gautama was very happy. And he then got all the people there. They all came back and they made that place very fertile. And birds, bees, everything came back. It became a beautiful forest. And there was no drought anymore. Now the Shiva Puranam says Seeking the support of great men is conducive to greatness. Only great men see its real nature, not others. Man gets fruits in accordance with the nature of the person he serves. If you go and serve a mafia lord, what do you get? You will get greatness, but it'll be a different sort of greatness. Loftiness is achieved by serving the great, and meanness by serving the mean. Service in the abode of a lion is different from service in the hut of a jackal. As in a jackal's place, you'll only get bones. Why? Because the nature of the good people is that they cannot bear others' misery. When you see somebody sad, because of that goodness, you know your heart goes out to them. You want to do something for them. So then the Shiva Puranam says that trees, gold, sandal paste, sugar cane, all exist for the happiness of other people. No sugar cane eats itself. And men like that are very rare in the world. A kind person who is unpuffed with arrogance. Because if you're helping others and then you say, oh, how wonderful I am helping somebody else, that doesn't help at all. There you go down in your own esteem. When a person who is unpuffed with arrogance and who's always helping people with perfect control over his sense organs, these are the four holy pillars that support the earth. The Shiva Puranam says, a kind man, a man who is not puffed up with arrogance, a man who is habitually helping others. He doesn't help once and says, okay, tatastu, finished. No, he goes on and on. That is all he does. And person with control over his sense organs, because you cannot look for dividends when you do this sort of it, because that man didn't come and say thank you to me. Makes no difference. When you have a person like that, with these qualities support the earth. They are four holy pillars. So then Gautama sowed food grains and everybody came, and then people started coming there and doing auspicious rites. They came with their disciples, their children, their women folk, everybody. Now, what happened was they used the water from that well. I mean, I'm calling it a well. It was a ditch which became like a pond. And then once Gautama sent his disciples there to bring water for his puja, they reached the spot with the water pot in their hands. And the women who were the wives of the other sages saw them, and they prevented them from taking the water. They said, we are the wives of rishis. We'll take it first. You stand far off. You can take water afterwards. You see, this happens even today, right? In different ways. The disciples returned and they came back and they told Ahalya, that is Gautama's wife, they said to her, this is what happened. So the wife of Ahalya, that's the wife of Gautama, took them with her, pacified the women, took the water and brought it to Gautama. And he did the rituals. Now the other women, the wives of the sages, were very upset and they rebuked her. They distorted the entire event and told their husbands all sorts of stories about Ahalya and her husband and the disciples. And the great rishis who were misled by their women folk got furious with Gautama. So then what did they do? They did a penance and worshipped Ganesha so that they can put an obstacle in Gautama's way. So when they did all this puja, Ganesha came to them and he said, what do you want? So they said to him, let Gautama be turned out of his hermitage after being rebuked by many sages. So Ganesha said to them, very gently he said to them, he said, see, listen to me, this is not proper. Those who become furious without any offense are sure to get some loss. And on top of that, somebody has helped you out in the past. When you do harm to somebody who has helped you out in the past, ruin will follow. So I thought I should warn you about this. Even after hearing all this, they were still deluded. That is why they couldn't understand it. When a person doesn't understand, it means that they are under a delusion or a purpose. Then they said, you promised us that you will give us something. If you want, do it. Otherwise, don't do it. So Ganesha again said, a wicked man never gets saintly nature, nor does a saintly man get any perversion at any time. When you were distressed by starvation, he gave you happiness, who Gautama. Now you are trying to give misery to him. Deluded by your women folk, you never cared to act by my advice. So whatever I do for you will eventually be beneficial to him. To whom? To Gautama. Choose another boon. But they didn't listen. They wanted only this. So what they did was, Ganesha said, okay. So what Ganesha did, because you have to reward a penance. He assumed the form of a very feeble cow and he went to Gautama's field, and the cow started eating the food grains which was kept for all the villagers. In the meantime, Gautama saw this and he was very compassionate by nature. He wanted to shoo the cow away. So he just took a little bit of grass and he pushed it a little with the grass blades. Soon as it was touched with it, the cow fell dead. So the sages and the wicked wives who were hiding behind began to shout. They said, look what he has done, he has killed a cow. And Ahalya was very distressed. What happened? And he didn't understand either, Gautama. So the Brahmins there, the sages, hurled threats at Gautama, like you hear today. Wives of the Brahmins tormented her. The disciples and sons of the Brahmins also reviled uh, Gautama. And they said, if a person sees the face of a cow killer, as long as you stay in the middle of this hermitage, the sacrificial fire will not accept your um, what you give. So beaten by them, Gautama said, okay, I'll go away somewhere, I'll go somewhere else. So they said, you're not authorized to do any rituals. So he said, what can I do? He said, please tell me how I can wipe out myself. He was very humble. So they said to him, you, without doing some prayashchit, expiation, purity cannot be got. So go around the earth 3 times announcing your sin. That is, I've sinned by killing a cow, I've sinned by killing a cow. After returning here, perform the holy vrata for a month. Or you fetch water from the Ganga and perform the ceremonial ablution. Propitiate Lord Shiva, making a crore of Shivalingams. So what did he do? He went, according to the way they said, he went and brought water from the Ganga, and he sat there in that place and he did tapasya along with his wife to that place to Shiva. He made all these Shivalingas. Shiva came before him and said, ask whatever you want because I'm pleased with the devotion. Then Gautama said to Shiva, Lord, make me sinless. And hearing this, Shiva said, Gautama, you're blessed. You're already sinless. You're being deceived by these wicked people. In fact, people who see you, they become sinless. How can you be a sinner? So he said, these people have done harm to you. And he tells him the whole story. This is what they've done. On hearing this, Gautama was very surprised. He couldn't believe the people he helped could behave like this. So then, you know what he said? He said, if um, these sages had not done this to me, how could I have had your vision? So how noble they must be to harm me and give me that sort of a punishment, because of which I did the penance to you and because of which you gave me your vision. So Shiva looked at him and he said, You're very blessed. You choose an excellent boon. So he says, um, let not this become like rumors again and again. This is how harmful things happen. May Ganga be given to me. And the Ganga came there and assumed the form of a lady, and she said, he did worship to her, and he says, you are contented, the whole world has been sanctified by you, sanctify me also. And Shiva then said, oh Ganga, listen, you, I'm telling you, sanctify Gautama also. So Ganga sanctified Gautama, and she said, now I'm going back to my abode, I'm telling you the truth. When this happened, Shiva, thinking of the people in that area, because Gautama had spoken to him, he said, till Kali Yuga, when the son of Vivaswat will be the 28th Manu, you should stay here alone. So Ganga replied, if I stay here, um, in what way am I different from the Devatas who come here? Or you come and stay with me along with Devi, Shakti. So Shiva says to Ganga, you're not different from me because I'm in you also. And he said, okay, you stay here. And Ganga and Parvati were delighted. And they stayed there. And then Ganga said, after washing off the sin of Gautama, I feel a tendency to go back again. Please stay here. Then Ganga says, in what way am I different from the Devatas? Then they tell her, once we start helping cleaning up people, we will become purifying people. We will ourselves become um, dirty. We'll have sins for 11 years. At that time, we will come to you and we will bathe in you for you to get rid of our sins so that we can go back and help other people also. So Ganga became famous there as Gautami. Shiva stayed there in the Shivalingam by the name of Trayambaka, and both are destructive of great sins. I wanted to say this story specifically because Swami Satyananda's Ishtadevata was Trayambakeshwar. And this Trayambakeshwar was worshipped by Gautama, and it yields all desires to anybody who goes there and worships the Trayambakeshwara there. So we have run out of time. So um, let the blessings of Trayambakeshwara be on you through our Guru Swamiji, who also worship there. Hari Om Tat Sat. So let us close our eyes and chant Om 3 times, keeping the image of the Guru, Ganga, and the Shivalingam as the form of the infinite and eternal one who pervades everything in us. And let us chant Om 3 times. We'll know more about this tomorrow and in the days to come. Breathing in. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukamiva bandhanat mriत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Hari Om. That's it. Since the time is out, I don't have time for questions and answers. But we'll see if we have time along the way because tomorrow's another day. I thought I'll do Shiva again tomorrow. Then day after tomorrow will be Shakti. And the day after that, Shiva Shakti Aikyam, togetherness. This is only a very brief idea. If you want to know more, you can do the Panchakshari mantra, go within yourself, and something will awaken in you also. Not what you read in a book, but something else. So wish you all the best for Shivaratri coming, and we'll meet again tomorrow.